Good morning. My name is Dimitri, and I am here to rate all of the Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc characters on how well I think they would do as my roommate. General spoiler warning if you haven't watched / played / read the games. Big hater warning. Many Danganronpa characters are really charming and likable, and many of them are absolutely insufferable. If you disagree with my character analyses, if I hate a character that you love, I'm sorry, but whatever. I'm opinionated. What can I say? You've been warned of my big hater energy, so if you get mad now, that's on you. Alright, let's get it. Aoi. Aoi, I think, would be fine, for the most part. I think she would be out of the apartment a lot. I think she would, always be at the gym, at the pool, hanging out with friends, just doing other shit. I don't think she would hang out at the apartment a lot. However, I do think that she would do shit and not ask me first. And it wouldn't be anything too crazy, but it would bother me a little bit. Like, she would invite her friends over and I'd come home and there'd just be people I don't know in the apartment and I'd be like, okay. But she immediately considers me her friend, which at first I wanted to be annoyed with, but I really wasn't. And I become friends with all of her friends, therefore it doesn't really bother me anymore. I had that feeling at first when we moved in together. I kind of wanted to be annoyed by her, but I wasn't. So I'm going to put Aoi in A. I also feel like she'd be pretty neat and clean. So Aoi's going to go in A, because, just ask if you're going to bring over these strangers into the place that we live. Byakuya. Byakuya? When we first moved in together, Byakuya would completely ignore me. Like I wasn't even there, I was invisible. And I'd be like, okay, if that's how we're gonna play this, then that's how it's gonna be. Whatever. That's fine. But soon after that, I would notice that Byakuya is watching me and lingering. He'd be pretending to do something at the opposite end of the room, and I'm like, why is he lurking? And I realize that as the ultimate rich Nepo baby, Byakuya doesn't know how to do anything. He does not know how to operate the Keurig. He does not know how to do the dishwasher. He's never done anything. He's never had to. He's always been, studying politics or whatever it is that he does. He doesn't know how to do any regular person shit. He's always had people for that. And, of course, he is way too proud to ask for help, and I am beneath him as a commoner. So, this creates a kind of complex where he sort of resents me because I'm just a commoner, but I have something on him. There's things I can do that he cannot do, and this bothers him a lot. And I don't offer to help him because he is such a dick that I know it would just start some kind of argument, or he would just turn me down and insult me. I do make, if I'm making a pot of coffee, I'll, make sure I do it a little slower and, make my actions clear so he can understand it. I am helping him, but yes, this does create a strange sort of complex where he believes I am beneath him, but I can do something he can't. This challenges his belief system, and that upsets him. So I'm going to put Byakuya in C tier. Celeste. Celestia Ludenberg. I think Celeste would be a very odd roommate. I think that you would never see her do anything. She's eating, she's doing laundry, she's doing dishes, she's grocery shopping, but you do not see her doing these things. You never see her do the dishes. You never see her do the laundry. You don't even see her shower. You never hear it. She's doing them, just in ways that you cannot comprehend. You guys are not friends. You are roommates and barely acquaintances. You don't talk. She will speak to you when it is necessary. She'll make small talk, only if it absolutely pertains to the two of you. If you have if you had a mutual friend, she would be like, oh, I saw so-and-so at the coffee shop today. They say hello. And that would be it. She would make very polite small talks sometimes, but, we're not friends. But every once in a while, she would say something very strange and creepy and off-putting. She'd look out the window to the people on the street below and be like, look at them all. They're like ants, completely unaware of the larger world around them. And you'd be like, alright, that was weird. Not creepy enough where you think she's a serial killer or something, just odd and off-putting. If you watch my other video where I rank the Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair characters as roommates, I believe that Nagito would do the same thing, but I think the shit that Nagito would say would be far more sinister sounding. Like, I think you'd meet Nagito in a dark hallway and he'd be like, "Isn't it interesting how short and fleeting life is? It's like a fire that can be stamped out at any moment." The shit that Nagito would say would be far more sinister. Celeste just says weird shit that, like, kind of raises a little red flag, a little alarm bell in your mind, but, like, not crazy. So, I'm gonna put Celeste in B, because I think on paper she would be a totally fine roommate. There would be something a little off-putting about her, and I don't want to be uncomfortable in my own home. Chihiro, I think that they would be an excellent roommate. I think they would spend all of their time in their room. I don't think they would hang out in the common area, like the kitchen or the living room. I do think they would be constantly worried that they are disturbing me. Like, they would be up late at night doing programming shit on the computer, and in the morning they'd be like, "Oh my god, did all the noise I made bother you?" And I'd be like, "What fucking noise? You're on the computer the whole time. Like, you're fine." I do think that, so I assume in this scenario that when we move in together, I am not privy to Chihiro's secret, and they would be very jumpy and very nervous around me. And I would be like, "Oh, well, I guess they're just shy." And then once I found out the secret and showed Chihiro that I'm, like, cool and accepting and that I don't care, they can live their life however they want, I think we become, like, actual friends and not just roommates. Yeah, S tier for my baby. Hifumi. Hifumi is another one where I don't think he would ever hang out in the common area. He would always be holed up in his room, just, drawing fan art, doing whatever. Hifumi would be super indifferent towards me because I am a real female and not a 3D female. Editor's note, I know I just said 3D, I meant 2D. He would have some semblance of respect for me because I have a shelf full of figures and some of them are, like, cute girls. As we know, the only 3D woman that Hifumi is interested in is, like, anime figures. He would see my figures and be like, "Oh yes, a woman of taste." Yeah, I think he would just be, like, holed up in his room 24/7, just doing his thing. I don't think he would be messy in the common area because, he's in his room so much. The thing about Hifumi is that he is clearly supposed to be this, like, dweeb, manga obsessed, like, sexualizing women type. It doesn't quite translate because Hifumi is not interested in real women and therefore is not mistreating real women. Like, this trope, this character archetype in real life sucks because they, like, sexualize underage girls and have unrealistic expectations for real women because they think all women should look like anime characters. And I know that is the trope, the character type that Hifumi is supposed to be, but in canon, he is rather respectful and fine, and he's just not interested in real women. A sexual king. So because of that, it's a little hard to say. I'm gonna put Hifumi in B. I feel like he would be truly indifferent towards me, with, like, a 1% lean to the positive side. Junko. Why do I live with Junko? What life situation would lead me to living with Junko? I don't know if it would be worse if Junko found me boring or found me interesting. Both are bad. Junko's gonna go in D because this list only goes to D. There's no F tier. If there was an F tier, she's gonna go in D tier because that's the lowest one. I don't even know what to say about living with Junko. I really don't. Taka. I'm gonna preface this by saying I love Taka. I really do. He's one of my favorite characters. I love Taka. My autistic king. Living with him would suck because the thing about Taka, he's the ultimate moral compass. He doesn't just have his own, like, self-imposed rules for himself. To him, they should go for everybody else too. And I think Taka, especially, I imagine with this Taka roommate scenario, it would be especially bad if there were multiple people, like if there were 3, 4, 5 of us, me and Taka plus other people. At first, he would be like, "All right, everyone, since there are so many of us living here, we must form a schedule and a routine, and he would like have a whiteboard for all the chores, and he would organize who grocery shops for what, and when people can shower and use the bathroom. And at first it would be like, all right, that's a little much, but this could be helpful because there's so many of us living here and there's only one bathroom and that kind of thing. But then it gets too much. You're only scheduled to shower for 10 minutes and it's been 10 minutes and 34 seconds. Get out. He'd cut the Wi-Fi at 10 and you'd be like, Taka, I need to write this paper. I need to submit this paper. And he'd be like, you need a good night's sleep for your quiz tomorrow. Taka, I swear to fucking God. He'd wake us all up at the ass crack of dawn and be like, rise and shine, the early bird gets the worm. And it's like, Taka, I'll throw you out the fucking window. I love him, again. I really do. But he would be too much. Taka, D tier. Don't tell me what to do. Kyoko. Editor's note. I know Kyoko's picture I picked is weird. There are 2 other characters that have pictures that are not like the others. I wanted them all to be transparent, and these are the transparents that I found. So, yeah. I'm incredibly biased. Kyoko is my favorite Danganronpa character across the board. I love her. That's my girl. I think she'd be great. I think we would barely talk to each other. Eventually, we would become friends, and she would apologize for being sort of standoffish at first, and I'd be like, no, it's fine. I'm the exact same way. But it would take us a very long time to get there. I don't have much to say about her. S tier. She would be perfect. And I don't just say that because she's my favorite and I love her. Leon. I just burped. I think Leon would be bad. Maybe Leon and I are randomly assigned dorm mates, or maybe Leon and I don't know, maybe I found him through like a Facebook ad. But I hear he's the ultimate baseball player, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Maybe he'll be at the gym most of the time, or, you know, out playing baseball, or maybe he'll be on a travel team and I'll never see him. I can work with that. I can have an athlete roommate. And then he moves in, and he's like, yo, fuck being the ultimate baseball player. I'm trying to be a rock star. I'm trying to start a band. And you're like, what? And he has a bunch of instruments, and he keeps a bunch of them in the living room because he, like, ran out of space. And it's like, what? This apartment is, like, 700 square feet. Get this drum set out of the living room. And he would also, you know, practice the instruments all the time. But he would have his electric guitar plugged into an amp to practice. And it's like, Leon, you don't need to do that. You can just practice on the electric guitar, like, with it not making very much noise. That's what practicing is for. And he's like, no, I gotta really hear it. I gotta rock. I'm like, Leon, we're gonna get evicted. We're getting noise complaints. Please stop. But I can't say that to him because I think he'd get mad. I'd be like, Leon, the neighbors are complaining. I think you need to, like, tone it down or find a practice space or something. And he'd be like, are you trying to, like, stop me from achieving my dreams? You're trying to fit me into a box? You think I should just go back to being a stupid baseball player? And I'd be like, didn't say any of that. Didn't say that. I don't want to be homeless, Leon. Sorry, Leon. You're going in D tier. Makoto. I love Makoto. He's my favorite protagonist. I think he'd be totally fine. I think he'd be a perfectly normal roommate where he's not messy, but there are traces of him throughout the apartment because he lives there, which is fine. I live there too. We live together. I think that Makoto would have one super normal thing that he doesn't know about or know how to do. Like, I think maybe he wouldn't know that you have to put dish detergent in that little hole, like that little area in the dishwasher, or he doesn't know that you have to refill the tank part of the Keurig with water. Like, I think there's something really simple and really normal that he just doesn't know for some reason. There's just a gap in his knowledge. He doesn't know there's a gap in his knowledge, and I don't know this. So for a while, I'm like, why are the dishes, like, not getting clean? They're just wet with food still on them in the dishwasher. Or why is the Keurig, like, making this grinding sound? What's going on? And then eventually I would figure out that he didn't know this thing, and I'd be like, fucking Makoto, come on. And we'd laugh about it. I think we'd be friends. And I think when we first move in together, I would assume he would be like a typical teenage boy, dipshit, annoying, messy. But then he would defy my expectations. So I'm gonna put Makoto in A tier. Mondo. Mondo and I would have a deeply complicated relationship. He would not know how to live with a female. We know that Mondo has some, like, toxic masculinity, gender roles, issues internalized. And I think Mondo would be one of those guys that, like, you know when a guy grows up and they have no female friends, and every task you do in school or otherwise is like boys on this side, girls on this side, like so separated from girls in his life that he kind of like doesn't know how to interact with them, doesn't know how to think of them, doesn't really know how to treat them. It would be, put into his head from day one, like, you gotta respect women, you gotta protect women. I think he would be one of those guys that is sort of internalized, like, men are people and women are women. Not necessarily in a negative way, but I think he would think of women as this other. And he would not know how to live with me as a roommate. And he would kind of try to shoehorn us into these, like, weird gender roles where he would leave his laundry basket in front of the washing machine. And I'd be like, yo, what are you doing with this? I'm trying to do some laundry. And he'd be like, oh, that's mine. I thought you were going to do it. And I'd be like, you thought I was going to do your laundry? Why? And then it would be like some weird moments like that, and it'd be kind of tense because I would be like, is this a thing? Like, do I need to like confront him about this? And at first I'd second guess myself a little, like, oh, that was kind of weird, but and then I'd like realize that he's like, I don't know, being weird. And it would come to a head one day. He would do or say something that would be too much for me. Like, he'd come home and be like, yo, what's for dinner? And I'd be like, you think I'm gonna cook you dinner? Why do you expect dinner, motherfucker? What do you think this is? And then I'd scare him off and he would hide in his room for like a week. But then he would come out and he would have the most wonderfully worded apology, like very self-aware, very reflective, like, listen, I didn't grow up around women. I only had dude bros as my role models growing up. I was so worried about like how to act and how to be when living with a female that I like built it up in my head and really thought I had to like act a certain way or be a certain way. He was like, I've been all in my head about it, like all worked up because I've been thinking like, he's like, I've been thinking of you as like this nebulous other, like just a woman instead of a person first and a woman second. Like this other kind of species instead of just a person who happens to be a woman. And it would be like this really like well thought out explanation for his behavior. And I'd be like, damn, character development. Post character development, we'd be great. We'd be fine. We'd get along. We'd be bros. I'm gonna put Mondo in B because I think until that confrontation and that character development, things would be really uncomfortable. Monokuma. Why is the robot bear on this list? I didn't make this tier list. I'm just using it for the video. The bear is gonna go with Junko in the hypothetical F category. What's he doing there? Why do I live with the murder bear? Mukuro Ikusaba, the 16th student, hidden somewhere in this school. Mukuro. I would meet Mukuro on the day we moved into the apartment together, and then I'd never see her ever again. I think the only reason you would know that Mukuro even lives with you is because she pays rent. There would be no evidence that anybody else lives with you. There is nothing in the fridge that you didn't buy. She has no stuff. Like, her bedroom door stays shut and locked. The only reason you know she lives there is because the rent's being paid. You do not see this woman. You met her the day you guys moved in. She shook your hand, introduced herself, then you never saw her ever again. I'm gonna put her in B because it's kind of like living alone, but somebody's paying half the rent. But it is very, very unsettling to basically be living with a ghost. Sakura. I think Sakura would be fantastic. I think she would get up very early in the morning to like go for a run or go to the gym, and you would never ever hear her get up or do anything. And the first couple of times she'd be like, I'm sorry, did I disturb you this morning? And you'd be like, no, Sakura, I literally had no idea you went anywhere. I think she would buy a metric fuck ton of eggs, because, like, post-workout protein. And she would be like, I purchased eggs for the both of us, because I cook bacon and eggs for breakfast every morning. I'd be like, wow, queen, thank you. In this economy. I do think, however, she would never, ever, ever invite her boyfriend over. I've never even seen this man. I've never met this man. I just know he exists. And after a while, when me and Sakura are like comfortable with each other, I'd be like, hey, you can invite your man over if you want. And she would say something like, I don't know how to word it exactly, but she would say something that alluded to the fact that she believes that it would be inappropriate and like an intrusion on our space. Like, she thinks the apartment is for me and her only, and it would not be appropriate to have a man there. And I would be like, wow, okay. Say some shit like, he does not belong in our sacred temple. And I'd be like, facts. He is an outsider in our dojo. So true, Sakura. Putting her in S tier, because I feel like she would heavily respect me. I would heavily respect her. I just burped. Sayaka. Sayaka is a hard one for me to nail down because I feel like I don't know her like that. I feel like I don't know her as well as the other characters. I will say, though, I would have a certain expectation of her and who she is because she's a pop star and she's famous and I assume rich. And I would assume she would be, like, a little snobby. I would assume that she, like, has a ton of friends and has a ton of people over all the time. She isn't how I thought she would be. She was a pleasant surprise. She would be, she's, like, very down-to-earth, very normal, one I can talk to if I had to. The only people she invites over are the other members of her girl group. Just, like, super normal when I expect her not to be. So I'm gonna put Sakura in A. I feel like she'd be the perfect level of friendly and reserved. Toko. I don't like Toko. I really don't. She's the worst thing a character can be. To me, is annoying. I'm easily annoyed. And that's the worst. In real life, too. The worst thing anyone can be, to me, is annoying. There's this character archetype / trope that Danganronpa does that I hate. I hate. This is the worst to me. And it's the overly shy, overly awkward, overly insecure girl. And she's so clumsy and she's stumbling over her feet. And anytime anyone says anything, she's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I'm so annoying, you must hate me so much. I can't stand it. It's so forced and uncomfortable for me. This tier list splits up Toko and Genocide Jack / Genocide Jill. If we're gonna think of them as real people that I would live with, they would be the same person, though. So, but for the sake of this tier list, almost every Danganronpa tier list I looked at splits them up, so she would be holed up in her room a lot, you know, writing, doing her thing. I can't do it. I can't fucking do it. C. Goodbye. Hero. This dude was suck. This dude never grew out of the lazy stoner, doesn't care about anything teenager vibe. It's like, you're a grown-ass man. Please get it together. This dude would not pay rent. And he'd always have, like, some mystical excuse to his bullshit. My crystal ball told me that fortune will be coming soon, man. It's all gonna work out. The landlord doesn't give a fuck about your crystal ball, alright? We're gonna get evicted. And I'm gonna sell your crystal ball on the black market so I can have a place to live. This dude would smoke weed indoors. And you know what would make me mad about living with Hiro? Is that he is the ultimate fortune teller. He was a good enough fortune teller to earn that title and be accepted into Hope's Peak Academy. You're telling me this man can't open up shop and, like, read tarot cards and peer into his crystal ball and shit like that? Like, I think he'd be a total deadbeat, and that's what would piss me off the most, is that it would be his own doing. Like, you're the best at what you do. You have an extra leg up because you are known for going to Hope's Peak Academy, and you're known as the ultimate version of this thing. So people would go to your little mystical tarot fortune-telling shop, and it'd be a mess. And it'd be a freeloader. Sorry, Hero, I love you, but bad. D tier. Genocide Jack / Jill. I don't know what to say about this. I have an annoying homicidal maniac in my home. Yeah, that's right. I don't like Toko or her alternate personality. D tier. Get this woman out of my house. Or else. I'm gonna turn those scissors on you. Well, this is the finished product. If you liked this, I have another video where I do the Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair characters. Thank you for watching. I love you. Bye-bye.